nothing but faith. There's things far too great that I want to accomplish. I'm hoping 25 hours a day, but something good works out, and I'm just like, dang. Think everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, I'm like, dang. Think you might just know the way. I'm like, dang.
Welcome to Dang.
Dang! I'm Todd Bridges.
And I'm Betty Jo Bridges. And today we're on vacation. And so...
The way you said it. And today we're on vacation.
Well, I am so excited to go on vacation.
Yes, we're on vacation. Traveling the world around. So we're going to revisit some episodes. One of them is called Road to Prison, which hopefully it doesn't have to my wife when she goes on vacation. But it happens to no one, and we're going to revisit that, and we're fixing the audio to have the audio working a lot better so you can really hear the episode and understand it and understand where I've been to.
Yes, these were actually some of our favorite episodes from season 1.
Yeah.
We talk about kind of how Todd ended up in jail, and then we did a really fun Q&A about like what is it like to be in prison, because I don't know if very many people have people who've been to prison they can ask questions of. So that's why I kind of liked it, because I just grilled you on like, what was the food like?
Terrible.
What was it like? What did you do with your time? Like,
There you go. Yes.
so we're putting them in here. Our audio engineers are doing their wizardry on it to make it
better,
so much better.
'cause it was terrible.
And we're going to paste it right in here after this little intro.
Yes, and
So
you'll get to check
enjoy
it out.
these 2 episodes
Yes.
while we're on vacation.
While we're on vacation in somewhere in the Netherlands, in Detroit. And we're actually going on vacation in Detroit. See you there. Just kidding.
So,
That's
dang.
it. Dang.
See you next week.
See you next time on Dang. Dang. What a fabulous morning, afternoon, night.
Whenever you're listening, right?
That's right. Whenever you're
Hope
listening
you're
to
having
it.
a fabulous one.
Yeah, you should be listening in your car, or if you're in the bathroom, on your special time in the restroom. Just listen. Listen to the podcast and take it easy.
Well, today we are going to talk about how you ended up in prison.
What? I never went to prison. Who told you that? That's a lie. Okay, how I ended up? Well,
So people can read some of your
yes,
story.
they can read some of my story in my book, Killing Willis. But also, I think what I always like to say is how did I end up there is because when you start falling from grace and you fall lower and lower and lower, the place you'll end up is somewhere, I personally believe, where God's going to put you to listen. And that's exactly for me what happened. I wasn't listening on the streets. I wasn't listening anywhere else. So God had, every time I would pray, I would get arrested. That's what used to happen to me almost every single time. And I felt like I was too deep in, I started praying, and all of a sudden I get arrested. And I end up in jail somewhere. And
So, okay, take us back to how did you first try drugs? Because drugs is how you ended up in jail, right?
yes, but it's...
So take us to the beginning.
Well, the beginning, what I always tell people is experimentation leads to addiction. And addiction can lead to jail. And for me I was just doing it socially with people. That's something that everyone did. Everyone did it. But just that some people can do it and be like, okay, I was too strong. I'm not fooling with that. And when I tried it, let me tell you how it all came afoot. Well, basically what happened was I was drinking a little bit back then. It was like the 80s, early 80s. I was drinking a little bit. And I decided I wanted to change the carpet in my house. And they said, if we come and rip the carpet out, it'll be this amount of money. But if you rip it out yourself, it's cheaper. So I figured, hey, I'll rip it out myself. So I was ripping it all out, and I found a white baggie. And it was a big white baggie underneath the floor.
It was under the carpet?
Under the carpet. So, but needless to say, the house that I bought, which I didn't know at the time, belonged to a drug dealer. I didn't know that.
Before you.
Before that, a big drug dealer.
So, okay, I have a question about that.
Okay.
Was it just like right under the carpet, or was
Yeah.
like something cut out of the pad?
it
Was there
was-
like a hole there?
No, it was right underneath the carpet. But here's the thing.
Was there like a lump in the carpet before?
No, it was flat because
I was just wondering.
cocaine flattens out. It flattens out over time.
Oh, so it was just like pressing down. Was it under the pad too?
Yeah. No, it was just under the carpet. I'll
Okay.
explain to you. When you have an addiction, your disease will put you in the right situations at the right time. It takes you as a person to be able to, not.
So
put
had
stuff in
you
there.
used drugs before this
I had
experience?
never used cocaine or anything like that before this.
Before.
I had drank and smoked a little bit of pot like everyone else did, but that was about it.
Like at parties or things like that.
That was about it. And when I was ripping the carpet up, I found this baggie, and it was a pretty big baggie, and it was flattened out. And I put it on. I go, "What is this?" And
were you by yourself?
I'm going to get into that.
I just was wondering.
I'm going to get into that. I picked this baggie up, and I looked and go, "What is this?" And my friend came in, and he goes, "Oh, that's cocaine, man. Oh, man, if you do that, man, you stay up for days." I was like, "Stay up for days?" I was like, "Have a good time." So I tried it, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." But that was before the addiction kicks in. See, what happens is people do it. It was socially. I could do it socially. The addiction hadn't stuck its hook in me yet. And the more and more I did it, the deeper and deeper I got.
What a crappy little twist of fate that you're just pulling back the carpet.
But that's how addiction works. It puts you in those situations.
Well, you talk like addiction is like a monster.
But it is a monster.
They planned this.
Let me tell you something. My addiction is doing. Okay, I'll tell you how my addiction is. I can look at people on the street and see people who are doing drugs, and you won't be able to see that. But I can, because that's my addiction. I can see that. So addiction is like, my addiction right now is doing push-ups. And I've been doing push-ups for 31 years. So if I succumb to it, I will lose. You see what I mean? Because my addiction is strong and buffed and yoked. So that's why you have to take the necessary steps not to let that afford to happen.
So people need to see their addiction. You see your addiction literally as like somebody ready.
Oh yeah, he's ready
to fight you. Kind of like that little devil on your shoulder.
Yes. He's ready to take me over. If he could take me over, if I allowed him to, and didn't do the proper steps, he would take me over. And that's why I don't let that happen. That's why you do, and the programs and stuff are called maintenance. You do maintenance to keep yourself going, or you talk to people about it who are in the program to keep yourself moving forward. So my addiction led me right here, and all of a sudden, by the time I got done with that whole bag, and I realized that bag was like a key of cocaine. It was a key. So it was,
my goodness, how long did you?
Oh, it lasted. It lasted a while, but everybody was doing it at the clubs. You go out and you pour it on the table. People were doing it. Nobody even didn't really say anything about it.
Okay, so hold on a second. Pause the story. Where do you think you were at emotionally, mentally, that opened you up to this?
That's the thing. Emotionally and mentally, I was suffering from the biggest secret I had in my life, which I had been sexually molested. I was suffering from that.
So nobody really knew about that?
No. I was suffering from constant police harassment. That was always going on no matter where. I lived at the time in Northridge, in the big house I showed you. That big house I lived there. So constant harassment. I would go to work every day, get pulled over on the ground, spread out, search my car.
Literally every day?
Literally every single day. For like 2 years, every single day. And so...
They were just like camped out waiting for you to leave.
Okay, one time I threw a big party there. And every single of my neighbors were at the party. They came in and said, "Okay, you got to stop the party. Your neighbor's called." And we go, "Well, which neighbor is that?" Was it that neighbor? Every neighbor within 5 blocks were at my party. So I knew it was nobody there who called them.
This was before the drugs?
This was before the drugs. They just decided they wanted to try to stop the party.
They just had targeted you.
Oh, yeah. They targeted me. And they wanted things to stop. They just how they felt.
Were you the only black guy in the neighborhood?
I was the only black person in the neighborhood. Me, my brother, and a few other people. That was it. Was nobody else there.
So there was this thing that was...
Yeah, and that particular department we used to call the Gestapo division. Oh, no. Because that's how we felt. It was like, they could be going one direction and we're going one direction. They would turn all around, get behind us and pull us over. Just is what they did. So I'm dealing with all that. I'm dealing with my father, who, emotionally abused, physically and emotionally abused me. I'm dealing with sexual molestation. So I was ripe for that addiction. It was right there, ready to, set its hooks in me. So, needless to say, I got carried away and, ended up going downhill. But the interesting part about it was I was able to stop before work and go to work and be fine and not do...
so you were still doing the show at this point?
The last year of it.
The last year of it.
Yeah, and I was able to stop, go to work, and it was fine. No problem. Didn't need it.
So on the weekend, you were partying hard with the little gift you found under the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
And then Monday morning, you'd go back to the set of Diff'rent Strokes.
And it was fine. So I was able to occupy my mind, keep my mind busy. Mm-hmm. So finally when the show was canceled and I just decided that I was going to travel. I was going to travel and go places, because I knew I had a lot of money. And then that's when the bomb dropped and I found out that I had been ripped off for $4 million. That my accountant stole my money. And we had to start court proceedings to get them put in jail. And we ran into a lawyer. We got a lawyer, and the lawyer said, "Don't put him in jail because you won't get your money," which is a lie. We found out now. We found out that lawyer was working with them too. They were all working together in cahoots. And so then that's when I fell hard. After that, I realized that my money was shorter than what it should have been. I couldn't travel and do what I wanted to do. And that's when everything just came on. And I remember before that, my mom telling me, you should go see a psychiatrist. But in the 80s, you know, you went to see a psychiatrist, people thought you were crazy. You know what I mean? You just didn't do that. You're like, oh,
Right.
I don't know if people think I'm crazy. So what ended up happening was I fell far, far down. So then I started getting arrested all the time because I was, you know, wrong places. So then what happened was my emotional standpoint just said, you know something, I'm going to turn into exactly who they said I was.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to
Yep,
say. It's
that's what I
almost
did.
like with all of that harassment from the police and everything like that, it was
Yep.
like for no reason. And then
Yep.
suddenly it was like, you know what? If I'm going to get the harassment, I'm going to
Yep.
give you the reason.
Yeah, and I gave them a reason, which is damaging to yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you don't realize that when you're struggling in the addiction. And so, you know, the first time I got, it was for the that attempted murder case, which I won, by the way. So I was in jail for 9 months. And while I was in there, I was next to Eric and Lyle Menendez.
So so if you won the case, how come you were in jail? I don't
Because
understand.
I was in jail for 9 months. It takes
Like
that long to have the
leading it-
trial.
Oh, they were keeping you there while
Yes.
you were having the trial.
Because they put my bill out of my reach. And then I found out later on, Johnny Cochran made sure my bill was out of reach so that I didn't get out and do something wrong and then mess up the trial.
Oh, like your lawyer almost wanted
Yes.
you to be kept in jail.
Oh, yeah. He made sure of that. That's what he did.
Kind of
And-
going back to what you were saying
Yeah.
about God.
Oh, yeah. So
wanted-
God was intervening in every single situation in my life. And the thing about it, though, when you put an addict in jail without proper, without proper help, he is a ticking time bomb. He's just waiting to get out to go do what he was doing before.
So it's not like it's putting you into recovery
No,
or
it's
anything.
not. Nope. It's putting you, just locking you in a place and putting you there. You know, you can hear God's voice, but then those demons take over and you end up, you know. So it was like when I won that case, I got out, bam, I was right back to doing what I did. And here's the thing, though. I had a second trial coming up. So what happened was I messed up and was late for court, didn't show up. And her name was Florence Marie Cooper, the judge was. And she said, you know, Mr. Bridges, I know you have a problem, and here's how we're going to solve that problem so we can get our case done. She goes, you have to show up every single day to my courtroom, no matter whether you're having your case or not, and you're going to sit here until 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day. And if you don't show up, I'm going to put you in jail. So I was there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
What did you do while you were sitting in her courtroom
I
all
just
day?
sat in there and
listened?
watched the cases.
Did you learn anything from all that?
I learned a lot of cases. I learned how to be a lawyer on TV. I learned how to be a lawyer. And I was sitting there and I would be nodding. They'd go, wake me up, go, wake up. I'm like, ugh. So I was literally drying out in there. I was drying out in her courtroom. And the interesting part about it was I ended up winning that case too. And then I went out and got in trouble again. And this time when I went back to court, the judge said, Mr. Bridges, my mom showed up too. My mom was there. And my mom never gave up on me. She stopped helping me to use drugs, but she never gave up on me. Because, so
She didn't want to enable you anymore.
yeah, she didn't want to enable me. But she was always in the distance waiting for me. So I got arrested again, and we're going to talk about while I was in there. We're going to do that in the next show. But I'm just telling you all this stuff that happened. So
Okay.
So I was in there, and this judge was like, Mr. Bridges, he goes, I see that you have a problem, and I'm going to help you with that problem. And I looked at his desk, and it had a circle with a triangle in it. So he was in the program. And he goes, so you show up tonight to this rehab that your mom and this other guy set up, and they go, so you be there. They pick you up at 7 o'clock. You be waiting for them, or I'm going to put a bench warrant and put you in jail, and you can wait there the whole time. So sure enough, let me tell you, I decided that at that point that I needed to stop. And I knew, and I felt it in my heart, and I knew God was trying to get me to stop. I just didn't know how.
Did you go to the place your mom
Yeah,
wanted
I
you to
went
go?
there, and that's when I got sober. And
That was the place.
That was the place that I got sober.
So you saw something on the judge's desk. It was that AA symbol that is
Yeah.
the circle with the
Oh, yeah.
triangle in it.
Yeah.
That indicated that you knew he knew what was going on.
Oh yeah, I definitely knew he
battled
knew
it.
what I needed to do. And this program was really insightful and very helpful.
How long of a time period are we talking from like when you pulled back the carpet?
I didn't do drugs long. I did drugs for like
to where
5 years.
That judge, that one that sent you to...
That was about 5 years.
About 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was about 5 years. And 5 years was when I finally decided I had to get sober. And it wasn't really, it was my doing, but it was God's doing. God ensured and put everything, the right things in my path to make me be able to hear it. I remember when I first got there, I got upset because they wanted to wanted me to go to a meeting, and I wasn't going to go to a meeting. And I remember I grabbed down the shower rod. I was like, "Who's going to make me go to a meeting?" And I hear this doom, 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 doom. I'm like, "What is that?" And I turn around and look at the door. The biggest black guy I've ever seen in my life. He ducks his head under the door, so he was taller than the door.
Big he doesn't fit
he ducks his
in
head under the door, and he said, "This can be hard, or this can be easy." And I went, "Ding, easy."
You dropped it.
Yeah, that dude was huge. Hitting him wouldn't have done nothing. So they took me up to the psych ward and strapped me down in 4 points, which is, if you don't know what 4 points are, you're strapped down in this arm, this arm, that leg, strapped down.
To the bed.
To the bed,
You were just...
Yes, and they take all your clothes off,
restrained.
and they put me in a big diaper.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm sitting up there, and I'm saying to myself, oh, my gosh, talk about fall from grace. And I started crying, and I said, God, I don't know what to do. I need help. I can't figure out how to stop doing this. And a light came over me, a light. I saw the bright light. And God said, I will put everyone in your place. If you just would listen, I will show you the way to do it. And sure enough, the woman came up. Her name was Judy. She came up. That was in the rehab clinic. And she said, okay, I'm going to let you back down there, but I'll trust you. You have to do right. You do again, you're going to come back up here, and I'm going to kick you out the program.
How long was that you
That was
sat
3 days.
there?
3 days I was in that for 3 days.
Points.
3 days I was in 5 points.
So 3 days before that woman came up, or did she start?
She didn't come up until 3 days after that.
Wow. So you sat there.
Yeah, I sat there in a big diaper for
3
3 days. They would take my one arm out, let me eat, and then they would put it back on me. But I didn't go to the bathroom for 3 days. I was not going to the bathroom in that diaper. And so they finally decided to let me down.
That sounds horrible.
I
just
horrible.
have to say.
It's a horrible. Well, it's a horrible for anybody. If you're not used to being in a diaper, well, you're a baby in a diaper. When you're a grown man in a diaper, it's terrible.
Is that the worst thing in your life that you think back, like the worst thing you ever had to endure?
I would say that was probably the worst thing I ever had to endure. Oh, no. There's probably one more thing that's probably worse than that. But that's in the second episode we're going to talk about. That's all in jail.
That was like in prison.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's, so the interesting part about what I tell people all the time is that when I called out and again asked for God's help, and this time he showed me the way.
How quickly from you laying in that bed till you called out to God? Because you're talking about you laid in that bed in 4 points for 3 days.
Yeah.
At what point did you finally reach out?
It wasn't until the third day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
because you're a person who has intelligence is still trying to figure out how to fix something.
Yeah, you were stubborn.
Yeah, and you're trying to fix something. This is why this program is not made for people who want to stay smart. You have to be stupid to be past this program, which means it's not really be stupid. Sorry, let me take that back. You have to be able to surrender. I'm not an easy surrenderer. I don't surrender very easily.
I know that
about
you.
I don't like to surrender. Surrender is like fail. And so I couldn't surrender to that program, but I knew that once I finally surrendered, and I think that's what God was waiting for me to finally surrender and call out to really surrender and then needing him, not just being able to get escaped from places that I was at that he helped me out of all the time. He wanted me to truly surrender to him, and I did. I truly surrendered to him. And that's when he showed me the way. And he put all the right people in front of me that I just listened to them and I did the program the right way. And out of the 5,000 people that went through that program, I'm the only one who stayed sober.
That is so interesting. You know what that really resonates with in my mind is lately I have been thinking a lot about agency, like the power, our power to choose. That's what agency is, right?
Yeah.
And in my spiritual studies and things like that, what I really believe God asks of us is humility and being able to, like you said, surrender, like another word for that, of choose to accept what he wants to give to us, what he wants to teach us, that humility. And I think what I've learned recently was that
agency is really the power that we as people, that is the one thing that we as humans have, that we totally have for ourselves, right? Like this earth, I believe God created the earth. I believe the air, all of this stuff that we enjoy in our existence here was given to us by him. So it's like, we can't really give any sort of sacrifice or any tribute to God besides our will.
Oh yeah.
Bending our will to him,
Yeah.
that agency.
And that's usually
that's-
it's very difficult for really intelligent people to bend their will to something they can't see. But what
Yeah.
what you don't
Have that
understand
much
is
faith.
yeah, it's about faith. And then when you get enough faith and you start seeing God's works. You
Yeah.
start seeing it in your life, start seeing it with you emotionally and mentally. And the problem sometimes with smart people is they are trying to always scientifically fix that. They're trying to always scientifically figure out, well, I don't see, I can't touch it, so it can't be real. But that's not the case. You know, for me, it's definitely not the case. I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, I've seen him work. I've seen him teach. I've talked with him. I've been around him. So I know that God exists.
Yeah, and what a beautiful experience. I mean, it was terrible.
No,
the
yeah,
3
but
days
that's-
was terrible.
but that's
What
what
a
I needed.
beautiful
Yeah.
experience to be able to push back to and say, look, I know. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I now know that he exists because
Yeah.
I lived through this.
Oh, yeah.
And he came to me.
Oh yeah,
Like, that's
and
awesome.
and the interesting part about it is, I think that we have to teach our kids how to surrender. We have to teach our
Yeah.
kids how to, with their agency, but how to surrender first before they can use their agency. I think that when kids are young, their agency is all over the place. So they really don't know what agency. Like they'll eat themselves sick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, adults are like, we're like, that's too much candy. If I keep eating, I'm gonna get sick. Most of us will be like, I ain't touching that no more. I want to get sick.
No, I totally
But kids
learned-
will just.
I remember there was,
You know what I mean? Like
there was
dogs,
an
you know?
Easter that I kind of was just letting my kids, I was like, well, you know what? It's just Easter. I'll let them eat as much candy. Like, I'm not going to regulate it. And they did. Like you
yeah.
said, they ate themselves.
They will.
Sick.
They will, yeah. So it's our job, I think, to teach them the agency,
How to exercise it, yeah.
and where to cut the line off for certain things. It's like, if you see a snake pit, you don't jump in it. But a little kid may think, oh, this looks fun. Hey, you know what I mean? Then and they're dead.
Right.
So, but
They
you
don't
say,
know.
no, that's dangerous or that's hot. Don't touch that. We have to teach them that, I think. And I think God gives us the ability, before they even know God, God gives us the ability to teach our children.
Right.
Before we can teach them about God, we have to teach them first their agency, and that because basically the kids are the babies, like the mother is God. Basically, you know what I mean? They don't know who God is, a baby is, but
You're
the
right.
mother is
You have to
everything.
teach them that.
Yeah, you have to teach them that. So God, he definitely put me in a situation to where, I had to listen, and I did. And the interesting part about it was seeing everybody else. This is why I fight so hard for my feelings and my emotions. When people don't want to see how I feel, I fight so hard because it took me so many years to know what my feelings are and to be able to pinpoint them and understand them. When someone doesn't, won't listen to how I feel about something, I get upset because I'm like, I've worked so hard for this and you just want to just throw it away. You don't want to hear me, what I have to say and how I feel about it. I'm not saying it doesn't excuse that what I've done, but it helps me move forward when people can understand, my feelings involved in that. And I take it's very difficult for me when people don't care about my feelings that I love. And then I'm not saying no one does. I'm just saying that makes me, want to fight. Makes me get into a fighting stance. Because I've been in jail and all those places, I'm very much so about respect. I'm very much so about that because I've been, in places that I don't think a lot of people could handle, and everything is determined on how we are. Men, we've learned to speak to each other in a way that's not going to cause an altercation. You know what I mean? We'll back down and be like, I don't feel like I'm going to have to fight this guy if I talk this way. I think with God, for me, I never fought God, but I avoided having to hear him. You know what I mean? And you do what you have to do so you don't have to listen. And God will always take me. I'm telling you, he will take me and put me in a place where I have to listen. So I fought so hard to where God would put me in a place where I had to listen. And in that treatment program, they taught me what I was feeling and how I was feeling. That was something I never knew. If I would have did what my mom told me to do, if I would have went to a psychiatrist, I would have learned more about my feelings. But I avoided that, and that took a toll and pushed me further out from learning about who I really was. Because when you've been sexually molested, you lose all about who you are. And you lose, you lose, I would say that you lose that safety protocol that teaches you how to grow up, how to be who you are. You lose that.
It
gets
just
stripped away
messes
from,
with you.
yeah, it
Yeah.
gets stripped away from you. And then with the police harassment on top of it, it just pushed me further and further. I used to love people and trust people. I don't trust people anymore. And that's another sad thing that happened to me because of that. It's very hard for me to trust. My trust issues, are difficult because, I always think someone's going to let me down because most of the time they did let me down, So I think for me, when I was in that state and I finally got what I got from the program, what I learned in the program was to be okay with who I was, to be okay where I'm at. Like, I don't need a lot of money to enjoy myself. Not anymore. I can do whatever, a little bit of money, get a TV show or eat something or watch a show, or play some video games, and it makes me happy. Go out somewhere, And I think for a lot of people that are trying this program in the beginning, they're running from themselves, and you can't run from yourself. You have to be okay with your past. And for me, the thing what happens is people don't let me forget my past because they're always bringing it up or throwing it at me. But I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me because, how many people have gone through what I've gone through and have made it this far? It's not a lot.
Yeah. So after the epiphany, you had that beautiful moment. Okay, what happened then? You said that a doctor came.
Well, no, Judy took me down to talk to the psychiatrist, and he realized that I had an impulse control problem, and he put me the cocaine had messed up the sulfuric acid in my brain. So what happens is what sulfuric acid does is when you get upset, it comes over your brain and it calms you and allows you to think about something before you do it. That's what it does. So I started taking Depakote, and that increased it, and then eventually I didn't have to take it anymore. It was already back. It was back again. So I went through the program, and I remember, going through all the meetings in the beginning, and instead of going home, my sponsor is a big name music person. I can't name you who he is, but he's a big name music person from my past. And he became my sponsor because I needed somebody who I can connect with on the same level, who understands, the business and all that. And I can just say his first name is Paul. And Paul, he just helped me with a lot of stuff. He told me that when I get out, he goes, do not go home. He goes, you should go to sober living and stay there for a while. And I was all against it. I was like, why? And he says, are you going to listen? Or are you going to do what you want to do? Or are you going to do what you should do? And I finally said, okay. And I went to the program. And, the good part about this place that I was at, it was called Brotman. It was Brotman Hospital, but it was a recovery place. And it was a sober living place. And we got 3 meals a day by the hospital. And the food was good, too, at the hospital. It wasn't bad food. It was good food. You got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You had to go to meetings, 2 or 3 meetings a day. You had a lot of house meetings, home meetings, you got chores and all that stuff. And it's interesting part, I was in there when in 1994 when they had the big earthquake in LA. I was there.
You were at the sober living?
Yeah. And everybody in my family were at my mom's house after the earthquake. And they came from all their houses to be together at their house. And I remember, getting up because it was shaking, it was throwing people out of bed. It was really strong. And I remember this guy was trying to light a cigarette, and we all knocked it out of his hands and said, give me that. Are you crazy? Because it could be gas in the house. You just blow us all up.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing you don't do, Yeah. So, this program really helped me, and here's another interesting part. I was so combative that they were like, how do we help him? We can't put him in a house with regular guys because he's going to be too combative. So you know what they did? They put me in a house with all the gay men. And let me tell you they wouldn't be combative with me. If I was combative, they go, oh, Todd, come here, give us a hug. And I'm like, no, I'm fighting the hug. No. And eventually I calmed way down. They brought me to calmness because they would not be combative with me. They would just be, Todd, let's talk. They all start talking to me and I'm like, solving my problems with them. And I realized that was the best thing that director did was put me in that position, in that house. And it really helped me find myself because these guys were gentle. They were gentle with me. They didn't want to be combative with me. They were gentle. If they would have just put me in a house, I'd have been fighting all the time because I didn't have that quite under control yet. So it really helped me move forward to who I am today. It really did. And that was, God all the way instrumented these things all the way. People say, well, how could God? Because God knew that these men were gentle. They weren't fighters. They weren't combative. So God knew, I'm going to put him here so that he's going to have to learn how to love himself. And I did learn how to love myself being there. And, and I think for an addict, when he really learns how to love himself, he will do anything to keep it. And I tell people all the time, like I tell people, you will not interfere with my sobriety. If I feel that you're interfering, I'm leaving. I'm getting out of there because I enjoy, being sober. I enjoy not, throwing my money where I'm giving my life away. I don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
So.
And after you left sober living, as a patient.
Mm-hmm. I went home. First, I went for 3 months. I went to my mom's house and I stayed in my mom's garage because it was like a basement and then the garage was next to it. It was a room down there. And I remember finally seeing the damage I did to my mom. That's another thing what happens to an addict. When he doesn't see that in the beginning, and a year and a half, 2 years, after 17 months, and then I went to my mom's house, and I remember being in the basement, and an ambulance went by, my mom came downstairs, she was trying to see if I was laying down. And I was like, wow, that's when you realize that. And I knew the only way to make up to my mom and my brother and my sister was to stay sober, and I did. I was able to accomplish that. So they didn't have to worry, The other part is that once I went there, then after that, I decided that I wanted to move. I needed to move out, and get my own place. And I decided that I wanted to start my own sober living house. So I went to Venice, got a house in Venice, and got 2 houses in Venice, and decided to start my own sober living, and I did. And it was, I forgot what we had named it, but that was a while ago. So I remember what happened was while I was there, I decided that I could go talk to the courts, and I went to talk to Santa Monica courts, and I started talking to all the prosecutors and the judges, and they all liked me and said, hey, yeah, we'll send people to you if you can get them sober, So they were sending people to me. I'd go there and review a guy and look at him and say, okay, he's candidate for ours. And the interesting part about it, I was dead serious. I didn't want to play around with courts. If you didn't do what you were supposed to do, I would go in and give the paperwork in, and they'd arrest you. So I remember this one time I did so much for this one kid. I could not get this kid to stay sober. I did everything, counseling, meetings. I had Judy come. Judy did a lot of counseling with these people. I had psychiatrists come in with these people, did so much stuff. And this kid could not stay sober. So I had to wake up that morning. I remember woke up early. The courthouse opened at 8, but I got up at 6. And I went down there and waited in line. And the guy came there with his mom. And I turned the paperwork into the judge. And the judge, said, put them before me, had me sitting over there, and they said, so I'm reviewing through it, and she said, man, my mom said, can I say something? He goes, yeah. He goes, I don't think this guy did anything for my son, blah, 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 blah. And the judge goes, stop right there. He goes, I'm reading daily notes that Mr. Bridges has done. He's done everything he could for your kid. Your kid just don't want to be sober. He goes, I'm sorry. That ain't his fault. He did everything according to the courthouse the right way. Your son's doing it the wrong way. So he gave that kid 2 years. He goes, I'm giving him 2 years in jail. He put him 2 years in jail. And we had a few people leave the rehab center and die because they went out and got loaded, And and then what happened was I met my wife, got married, and we had a kid. So then I couldn't keep the house. I didn't want it because when you're working in a sober living house, you're kind of taking care of kids. They're kind of like kids trying to grow up.
It was kind of your life,
yeah,
right?
But I had a kid. I had it in my life.
So you didn't really have room to keep that
I didn't have room to keep that going. So I sold that to somebody else. And I stayed in the smaller house and sold the bigger house. And what was interesting was I needed to get my career on track. But I had a job. I was working at Washington Medical Center as a chemical dependency tech. And I worked from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And let me tell you, that hours, boy, you get about 4 a.m., it's rough. You'd be like trying to stay awake. But we had all kinds of things go wrong in this rehab center. We had one guy that literally was throwing plates at me and the nurse, and we were ducking plates. I had to call the program director, and I'm like, because he wanted more meds, but we couldn't give it to him. He's throwing plates, and I'm talking to the program director, and he goes, well, he's got another hour left, Todd, and when his hour's over, you can put him out. I'm like, okay, we're ducking plates, and I'm guarding the nurse, we're ducking plates, and finally the hour is over. I ran at him, tackled him, grabbed him, threw him outside, threw his clothes outside, and locked the door and went, bye, and he went, I'm going to call the police. We go, call the police. You're at fault here, buddy. and that nothing ever went
Why
from
did
that.
you have to keep him for an hour?
Because we had to let the medication wear off. You can't put them on the street with medication
With
in
the
body.
medication in their
Yeah,
system.
Yeah, so
I
you got to
see.
get them out before that, after that.
So after going through what you've gone through, so like going back to that story you were telling about the boy who was in court with his mom and he ended up getting, the sentence to jail. How do you see that now that you've experienced and been through it? Is there a part of you, like, do you feel bad for him or do you kind of feel like maybe that'll get him what he needs?
Well, the problem is, unfortunately, when they're given to you by the courts, they're holding on to their jail sentence. And if they can get the program and do it successfully, and they
Because they have the program in jail, right? Like,
yeah,
you
they
have
do now. They didn't have it then. They do now.
Really?
Yeah, then it wasn't a problem. But the thing is, though, the program has been, I don't know how successful it's been because I really haven't studied on that. But then they didn't have it,
I guess I'm wondering if you have a perspective on prison and jail that it's helpful to some people.
I don't
or
think
you don't?
a prison is rehabilitation. It's prison, exactly what it says. It's just isolating, locking people up until they, like before I told you, before I had the program, when you locked me up, and I was just a ticking time bomb waiting to get out. And I think that's what we're seeing. You let these guys out, and they go out and reoffend, but you wonder because prison needs to be reform. It's not reform. It's just prison. And that's the problem with it, I think, on so many levels.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder how it varies probably from state to state.
And I was just reading that 2 guards got in trouble for, and this is how people have to realize the drugs aren't coming in from the inmates. It's coming in from the guards and stuff, the officers that are working there. 2 women, a woman and a man just got arrested for bringing drugs and phones in there and selling phones and drugs in there. They made millions of dollars, they said. I forgot which city it was in, but I just read it recently.
Interesting.
But it happens all the time, and so I don't know how much reform is in there now, but I know then there wasn't much, but for me, because see, what we're going to talk about on the next show is I was sober for 8 months and had to go back to jail because the judge wanted to show me something to make sure that I stayed sober. Yeah. So we'll talk about that on the next show, and that was
the next
insanely
time
crazy.
We're going to go into what it was like being in jail.
I'll tell you my first day in there and those kind of things.
Yeah, so if you have questions that you want Todd to answer about what it was like for him in jail or what maybe even what it's like in jail, he'll do his best to answer those. Yep. So write in at dangpodcast.com.
Yep, it was, I think the future of sobriety, the great part about it now is people are welcoming you and celebrating when you get sober. You know what I mean? It's not like when I got sober, it was no celebration. People were like, you were the scourge of the earth. But today they're like, oh, you're getting help? Oh my gosh. People are happy.
I just think what you're pointing out is that we have made some strides,
yes,
right?
We have made some.
Point number one being the whole idea of getting therapy, right?
Yes,
because you were saying that could have probably put you on a totally different path if you hadn't felt so much pressure from society not to. So I think that your story has shown us where we have made some improvements. Like going back to the beginning, you said that if you hadn't felt so much society pressure of like not going to therapy, that you could have maybe been on a totally different path right there from the beginning.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely think so.
And then also that you were saying that you didn't actually have access to the program while you were in prison, but hopefully I think they have some more of those programs and things now. So
yeah, I think they do.
I think we're making progress, but there is still just.
But the question is, was that God's way, or did I need to go further into it before God knew the time to pull me out and help me?
Yeah, that's
so.
Interesting
I truly believe that everything that God plans is planned on His time and the way He wants it.
Yeah,
and it needs to be in a position to where it's coming from Him. You know what I mean? I knew it was coming from. It's not coming from anyone else but Him.
Yeah, and that's what I wonder about that poor kid. I feel for his mom and him that he ended up having to go to jail. But you're right. Like sometimes God can't get through to somebody any other way, right? Like, do you think you would have been prepared and ready for that, 4 points experience if you hadn't spent some time in jail?
No. But I also think that if God if this wasn't allowed to happen to me, if my life wasn't allowed to go this direction, I truly believe that I would be not able to help people through so much the way I've done. I truly believe your path is laid. The course is laid for you. Unfortunately, some people don't make it through it, and some people do. And I believe that God knew my heart and knew how strong I was, and knew that, okay, Todd will survive this by going through this, and then I can use him for more work. For instance,
yeah, because you have to have the capacity to help people. You have to understand, kind of like that judge who you could see the chip on his desk for the AA, and you knew he understands. Sometimes people have to, you need the people that have gone before you to be able to.
And also, wait till I tell you when I talk about the psychiatrist, how I knew the psychiatrist. I mean, he knew me, I knew him, I met him once before, but I'll explain that all to you. That's how I know God was a part of this, because there's no other way it could have happened, because too much was set in position that I went from step to step to step, and each way God was like pulling me that way. Here you go, here you go, here you go. You need to be here, you need to here. And today, what has it done for me? People go, well, you lost so much. Yeah, but I gained so much.
Yeah.
What I lost was material. That's easy to get back. That's nothing. You know, if I would have just not made any mistakes, kept working, and I had all this money, I'm this giant star, I would be probably so full of myself, you know what I mean? Such a jerk that I wouldn't be helping anyone. What would I be doing? You know, I'd be all about myself. And I'm not going to mention names, but I see a lot of stars who are like that. Not all of them, because some of them are very nice people. You see some that are so on their high horse that they think they can't be kicked down, you know, and they just are who they are, stuck up, not helping anybody, you know. For me, you know, I know that God truly wanted me to be in that position so that when I came down lower to get back up, I can help so many people with so many situations in their lives to move forward and not be stuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, I think this has been good. Okay, so if you have questions for Todd, get them in by the end of the week so that we can include them in our episode.
Yep, and next show, we're going to talk about what it was like to be in jail, and also Chino Correctional Facility Prison with Richard Ramirez and Eric and Lyle Menendez.
Wow, it's going to be good.
Yep, it's going to be really good. Okay. All right, bye-bye. Dang. What am I doing here? Just kidding.
Well, it's not every day that you get somebody who has been to prison and is willing to talk about it. So lucky for us, we've got Todd here.
No. Yeah.
He's going to answer all our questions about what prison life is like and some of the things like that.
The food is delicious.
Really?
Well, the food's better than county jail, that's for sure. County
Really?
County jail is you get fake food.
Well, so last week we talked about kind of the road to prison, how Todd ended up getting these stories to tell us. So if you are curious about that, go back and listen to last week's episode. But today we're going to dive into some questions that people have sent in, and also ones that I have and that we've just gathered. Mm-hmm. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, we were going to ask you about the food. So let's talk about the food.
Well, okay, when you're in county jail, they have a thing called crap on the shingles.
What?
Which is like... you know, you have to it's like some kind of potatoes, and it has sprinkles of meat in there, but you don't know if it's meat or not.
Like what kind of meat? When
you're in county jail, yeah, it's a mystery meat. And they also have a Wisher sandwich. Like they have a Wish it was a real piece of meat, because whatever it is not a real piece of meat.
So you guys called it a Wisher sandwich.
Yeah, because we wish we had a real piece of meat. And then they had this juice that they used to give us to drink. And I remember reading the back of it because I was also, when you're on the runway, they call it the freeway. When you're on the freeway, you know, you can take a shower, or you can watch TV, change TV for everybody.
What do you mean when you're on the runway, the freeway? What is that?
Okay, when you're in county jail, first we got to talk about county before I went to Chino. I was at county, and
so LA County Jail.
Yeah. So, when I first went there, they put me in this place that I wasn't supposed to be. I was supposed to be upstairs in the high power place. And so I got to tell you, this story is the funniest. It's the craziest story. So the psychiatrist came and see me, and he goes, "Okay, you're not supposed to be down here. You're supposed to be upstairs." He goes, "I don't know what these officers are doing, but you're supposed to be upstairs. That we already had the room for you upstairs." I go, "Okay."
What was the difference between where you were and upstairs?
Where I was is single cells, but they're connected by bars. You can still reach over and talk to somebody or touch somebody.
Okay.
And when I was in
upstairs, it was like
upstairs, it's sections off, but it's hard doors and just solid rooms.
Okay.
But when I was down there, I was in jail with Ford. When I was down at the bottom, I was in there with Ford and Von Velis. And then for people who want to know who they were the officers for hire to kill people. They were in there. They were there too, down there with me. Ford and Von Velis. You can look it up and see who Ford and Von Velis were. I'm sure they got sentenced to a ton of years because they were like hitmen on a police department.
Wow.
Yeah. So he told me
they were like the guys on either side of you.
Yeah. So
okay.
So the psychiatrist told me, he goes, well, the only way I'm going to be able to get you up there, you have to tell them you want to kill yourself. I go, really? He goes, yeah, just tell me you want to kill yourself. So I didn't know. Well, he didn't give me the whole story of what was going to happen when I said that.
Okay.
So I said, I want to kill myself. They said, what? I go, I want to kill myself. They said, hold on. And then I heard, and all of a sudden I see 5 guys coming at me in riot gear, and they tackle me, they handcuff me, and they take me upstairs and they strap me in 4 points in a psychiatric room upstairs. I'm in 4 points. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so the psychiatrist came in. I go, why didn't you tell me this was going to happen? He goes, if I told you that was going to happen, would you have done it? I was like, no.
How long did it take? How long were you stuck there?
I was only stuck there for a day. But,
a whole day?
Yeah.
In 4 points before the psychiatrist came back?
Yeah, but I was like, oh my gosh.
Were you just sitting there going, give me the psychiatrist?
No, I was just kidding. No, I didn't want to say anything. I was trying to figure out what to do. I didn't want to say any more things after that because I didn't know what was going to happen next. But what's interesting, though, while I was there, this place had some real cuckoos in it. Let me tell you. I remember I was sitting on the chair and with these other people that were considered, I guess, same like me, loony at the time. And they were like, one guy was like, hey, he's smoking a cigarette. And he goes, they're coming. I'm like, He goes, they're coming. I'm like, who's coming? He's like, they're here. I'm like, oh my God, this is a crazy place. I'm like, I don't even belong here.
Why did the doctor think you'd be better off if you went upstairs with all the crazy? Because you'd be safer?
Because finally when I got to my room, it was a lot better. Oh. It was in a safer environment,
okay.
It wasn't with it was with the true killers also. Because when I got up there was Eric and Lau Menendez, and also the Night Stalker was there, who Richard Ramirez, who killed people in Los Angeles, was a serial killer. But now, what's interesting, I will tell you this. If people ever remember the trial of Eric and Lau Menendez, there was a time where the trial got delayed for 2 months. And what happened was, me and Eric, we decided to hold our doors because they would check our doors to see if they were locked. And we'd hold it with a towel, and they thought it was locked. So me and Eric decided to have a water fight on the freeway with each other. We're throwing water at each other.
Okay, so still the freeway.
Yeah,
what
freeway.
is that?
The freeway is right outside your cells. It's like a couple of 100 feet, and you have a TV in the center, and the person who's on the freeway at the time, you get like an hour on the freeway, has to change the TV for people.
Okay, so you each get a turn being out there alone, basically.
Yes, you're supposed to be there alone.
Okay.
Never, that wasn't supposed to happen. Me and Eric
Is there a couch out there?
No, none of that. You just,
Is there a bench?
It's a chair. It's a chair
There's
you can use
a
out
chair
there. Yes.
and a TV.
Yeah, and the person changes the TV for people so that we can watch what we want to watch.
Are people spiteful and be like, no, I'm not going to change the TV for you?
No one does that because then no one wants it done to you.
Yeah,
right. So they
do people take a vote on what we're gonna watch?
Yeah, everybody votes, of course. It's still it's like government. You're gonna decide what you want to watch, and everybody's take a vote.
Okay.
And whoever the more people that vote for it win.
And it wasn't like I'm the guy out here. I get to pick what we're watching.
It was never like that. So So ultimately, me and Eric were playing, and I was throwing water. We're throwing water at each other, and he came towards me, and I bumped him. He went back and he hit his kidney on the door. The door had a flap on it. It was a metal flap. And he started peeing blood. So
right away as soon as he hit it?
Yeah, he hit it and he went down. Then he went to the bathroom. He goes, I'm peeing blood. So they came in, got him out of there. And then they said, what happened? What happened? And then they told me, we're going to charge you with such and such, all these new crimes, right? They tried to charge me with. And so Johnny Cochran got involved and he says, well, if you do that, I'm going to tell them that you let Eric Menendez and Todd Bridges play together. And they were like, okay, we'll let everything go. Real fast. They didn't want that to get out there.
That actually doesn't sound very good saying they let you play together.
Well, that's why he was going to say that. They let us play, play together. It doesn't matter what that sounds. They didn't want that They did not want that happening. We're not supposed to make contact with anybody.
So were the Menendez brothers nice?
Menendez brothers, yeah, they were nice, but they were, to me, I was the only one in there that I knew I was getting out, and I knew the rest of them were not going to get out. And I remember them telling me, you'll be back. And I was like, never be back. And here's what happened. So let me tell you this. So I get out. And what happens? I get in trouble again a couple of months later, and I'm right back there, and they're all laughing at me.
Right back in LA
and I'm
County.
like, oh gosh, this is terrible. They're all laughing at me, but I was like, I'm gonna have to decide to make a change. So when I got out of there, I went directly into rehab. But wait, before we get to prison, I got to tell you what happened.
No, but I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
So those guys that were still in LA County when you came back,
oh yeah,
how come they were there for so long? How much they were
sometimes
sent out?
it takes 3 to 4 years before you can get to your trial.
Oh, and they keep you in county
you
until...
stay in county until your trial is done. You're either convicted and you go off to prison, or you're not.
Oh, so that's why they were still there. Okay.
And so was Richard Ramirez was still there. And I have a story about Richard Ramirez also. Okay, we used to all talk about, there was a way out of there. We knew where it was. It was a closet that was there. And
that, like, they could escape?
Yes. Oh. And there was a closet there. And if you got in the closet, because we can open the closet, but it was never locked. And you went through the little attic part, and you went to the elevator, but you had to make sure there was no police officer using the restroom at the time, because if someone was using the restroom at the time, they can hear you going over. Oh. And so when Richard Ramirez got convicted, they came in and they slammed our flaps, and Richard was going back to his cell. And
what do you mean swung their flaps? What's that?
The flaps are the flaps on the door. There's a door that a metal flap comes out.
Oh, where they put things
where you can talk through there too, and they leave it down so people can see. So all you see was a bunch of eyes being able to look out of the flaps. That's all you really see.
So you guys would like play with these flaps as like a way of communicating, kind of?
Well, no, you wouldn't play with the flaps. You just talk each other through the flaps.
But you said they were all swinging their flaps. What does that mean?
No, you're not. I didn't say they were swinging the flaps. They closed the flaps. Oh. They closed the flaps. The guards did?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then Richard Ramirez comes in, and we knew he had got convicted because we watched it on TV. Right. We're like, oh man, this guy's going to get the gas chamber.
Yeah.
And so we see him, we're going around, and all of a sudden he opens the door up, and we're going, oh no, he's going to try it. He goes up, starts going into it, and all of a sudden, I guess he didn't realize there was a police officer going to the bathroom. And the police officer runs in and grabs his foot and pulls him down, and they finally get him, and they go, who knew about this? We're like, we didn't know anything. I don't know. I didn't even know that it was even there. Everybody's playing dumb. I didn't know anything.
How did they know? Is this just like prison lore that's been passed around to prisoners?
No, we knew because we had looked in there, but no one wanted to cross over it. None of us wanted to go over it. We just knew that went to the elevator because you can go up and you can see the elevator about 20 yards away.
What made you guys think to look in there?
Because you're curious. You're in prison. What else? You're in county. What else you gonna do?
There's a door here. Like, let's look and see what's inside. What else you gonna do? You're there, and so you all looked up and then talked amongst yourselves, saying, "Hey, I bet this would work."
And everyone, when they got their freeway time, they would look through it.
Aren't they recording you guys in there?
No, there's no cameras in that part. No.
Oh.
Now, and also there weren't cameras inside the visiting room. The first day that I was in the visiting room. First day that I was in there.
Is that where you can receive visitors?
Yeah, okay. I was getting a visitor. Before I was sitting there with a bunch of other inmates, and what happened was this guy unlocked himself. They knew how to do that too. Unlocked his things.
Pick your locks.
Yeah. He goes over to the guy next to me and stabs the guy a bunch of times. And I'm watching this and I'm like totally freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh. I didn't know what to do. So they come in and go, what happened? I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't say anything. They go, well, you're sitting right next to us. I said, man, I was sleeping. So I have no idea. And they shut down all the visits and sent us all back.
Okay, so what was he using to pick his locks?
They're in a box. They had these copper box things that close to help seal the box. He took that out and you twist it a certain way, and then you can unlock your key. So, and you had to be there for a while before they teach you how to do that because they didn't want anybody getting caught and then figuring it out. So, I mean, I eventually figured out how to do it too, but I just didn't want to do it because you don't want to catch any other kind of case. So
yeah,
and
you don't want another charge brought against you.
No.
But these were things that people within prison kind of had figured out, and if you get a friend, they might tell you.
You learn how to be. This is the sad part about county or even prison. You learn how to be a better criminal if you want to be a criminal.
It's almost like going to school.
Yeah, because everyone's a criminal, so you learn how to be a better criminal. I can't say everyone in there is a criminal. Some people probably are innocent, but there's a lot of people who aren't innocent.
That was actually one of the questions I had here was how do you make friends, or do you even want to?
You make friends, but you can't trust people in there. You have to be very careful, and you have to be very careful of what you say. That's why I talk about respect all the time. It's all about respect. You have to respect each other. So I got out of there. I went into rehab, right? I went into rehab. And I went back to court, and the judge was like, okay, well, when you're done with the rehab, you're going to have to do a 90-day observation in Chino. So he said, I'm going to send you somewhere. I want to show you what it's like. If you continue doing what you're doing, you're going to end up in prison. You're going to be in that place for a long time. So
he sentenced you to 3 months.
yeah, but I didn't have to go yet. Got out and I finished all my stuff. But I had a certain day I had to turn myself in to be taken to Chino. And I remember when my mom was driving that day, and she took me to a pancake breakfast and took me to county jail. And how they get you at night is so crazy. It's like you're in there sleeping, all of a sudden you hear chain.
Okay, so to turn you into Chino, she took you and had to take you to county jail.
County jail first,
okay.
Yes. And then I was in county, and then that night I was sleeping, and I heard chain. And they get up and they say, Bridges, state your number. Give you a number, and they bring you out, and they chain you all up, and they put you on a bus. And then they ship you out. They ship me out to Chino. And I remember when I was going through the Chino gates, as I got out the bus, it's just like in the movies where everyone's yelling at you. They're like, Willis, we see you. Don't call me Willis. We're going to get you, Willis. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to fight right away. Because, I wasn't going to not fight. You have to fight to defend yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be pushed around the whole time. And I go, I'm going to have to fight right away. And all of a sudden, this is how I know God was involved in my life the whole time that I was there. I get off the bus, and this big black dude comes up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to fight. And he looks around. He goes, I told everybody my last name is Bridges. I told everyone that I'm your brother. So just go along with me, and I'll protect you throughout this thing, and I'll get you the best job. I was like, oh man, Mom, miss you, man. And so,
what a blessing! Oh my gosh, like that is terrifying. I was feeling so sick as I'm here. Like, how was your mom? Was she like in tears?
Yeah, but I signed a thing to where I didn't let anybody come and visit me when I was in Chino.
Oh, really?
Because it's the toughest part is having someone come visit you, and then they leave, and they're leaving, and you can't leave. That's the toughest part. The only way that you can get through it is taking it into your mind that you're going to be here for the rest of your life. That's the only way you can get through it. You can't have aspirations and dreams of leaving because it does not happen.
It's just
like
torture.
Yes, it tortures
Did your mom know you weren't going to let him come see?
No,
Did you
no
tell
one
her?
knew it. I didn't tell anybody. So I just blocked everyone from coming to see me.
So she dropped you off. I'm sure she was upset.
Yeah, she called him, tried to get a visit. He goes, he has no authorization on visits. So being in there, so I got a really good job.
What was your job?
Well, before I talk about my job first,
Okay.
when they first brought me in, they put me in this cage that's about 7 feet high, and it's not that wide, and they handcuffed me my back, and they left me in that thing for 8 hours.
And it's just an open cage,
Yeah,
so people can...
But then also, I forgot about this part. When I first got there, you walk up, you got to get your clothes, right?
Okay,
And the guy says, well. But this guy had a cockeyed eye. It was a black guy. He goes, well. Bridges smoked his ass all the way to prison. That's what he said. I'm like,
is this a guard?
Yeah, I'm like, great, wonderful. I'm like, great. And then they put me in that cage, and they left me in that cage for 8 hours. They were just messing with me.
So when you get changed, like, what are you wearing when you go to prison?
When you go,
like a county
you're wearing
jumpsuit?
I was wearing my county jumpsuit, but then you take off, they give you prison clothes. It's like a T-shirt and some other kind of pants.
Do they search
pants.
you?
Oh, of course they do. They make you open your butt and cough. You got
really?
Yeah, you got to do all that stuff.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, and it's like you're standing in line with a bunch of naked. Everybody's naked standing in line. So you just stand in line. And some people don't shower, so it's like.
And it's just men, right?
They don't mix men and women together. No way.
No.
Just men. And the other part too, which is interesting, is the job that I got. I was in inmate shipping and receiving. And there's an unwritten rule that if a child molester comes through, you have to give the signal and pass the signal down the line, because as soon as he hits the yard, he's going to get stomped for about 45 minutes. That's just what happens. Ooh. Nobody likes child molesters in there. No one likes those.
So shipping and receiving, you're not talking about packages, you're talking about people.
People,
like
the
people
shipping coming in.
Oh,
and
wow.
then receiving people coming in and shipping them out to other places. So I worked in that department. So I got the best shoes. I had the best clothes, and to make money, because I had no one coming up, I used to sell pins. And because I get pins from there, and you also sell
pins, you write with.
Yeah. And you also sell things that can be made into shanks. Yeah,
like toothbrushes. I've heard.
Not toothbrushes, mainly.
What?
We used to get to broom closets. We had metal shards and all that kind of stuff you can get out of there, and you sell those to people, and that's how you make money.
So you would just collect things as you're going throughout your day that had value.
Yes, that had value. And so being protected by this guy, which was cool. And then this guy who was I don't know which gang he was in, but it was a Spanish guy in a big gang, and I don't remember which gang he was in. And we had an argument, and he ended up liking me. He says, "Man, I'm, and He ended up protecting me too. So I was the only person of my color that can go and talk to everybody.
You could talk to
I talked to the white guys, but if a fight happened, you have to drop to your color. That's just how it is. You have no choice in the matter. If you don't, then your people will give you up, and you don't want that to happen. So you have to take care of it. So the first day on the yard, first day on the yard, these two guys start fighting over a pencil, right? And I hear the siren go, and I'm like, what is that? I'm looking around. And all of a sudden, the guy grabs and says, get down! And I get down, and as I get down, I hear a bullet whiz by me. Wham! Hits one of the guys in the leg. They just, because there's no warning shots like that, they just start fighting. They
what kind of bullets? Were those like the rubbery
bullets?
bullets?
No, a real bullet. Yeah, the guy was bleeding when they shot him. So it was a real bullet.
So the guards are like up on the walls?
Yeah.
And if a fight breaks out, they'll just shoot somebody.
Yeah, they had these guys were considered dangerous, so they just shot him.
They
in the
won't
legs.
go down there and try to break it up. They'll just be like,
no, they shot him.
Which one are we going to shoot?
But that's why they pull you to the ground, because they don't want you to be involved. My friend pulled me to the ground. He didn't want me to get shot.
He didn't want you to get in the crossfire?
No.
Was this the big guy that was your brother?
No, this was just somebody else.
Another.
Because I had to sign a waiver to go onto the yard. When I first got in there, they had me in maximum isolation. But I signed a waiver to go on the yard so that prison's not liable for me getting hurt, anything like that. But I was like, I had a street reputation going in, so I was fine. I knew I'd be okay.
So is everybody have to sign a waiver to go on the yard? But that was because of who you were?
Cases, high profile cases would have to. I could have been in isolation 23 hours a day. And I already did that at county, and I was done with that. I didn't want to be in isolation. I'd rather be out and get fresh air and play basketball and do stuff like that, Now, when I first got my first experience with food in the county jail, in the prison, it was wonderful. It's real food, real eggs, real chicken, real stuff.
Chino's better than county.
Oh yeah, that food was terrible, Okay. So yeah, and then you also had an opportunity to go to the thing and buy food too. You could buy stuff, and I had enough money from what I made from selling things that I could buy stuff. Some people were artists in there, and they needed different colored pens and that kind of stuff to keep the continue. So you would sell those kind of things.
So in Chino, it's more like cafeteria level, like school cafeteria.
Like cafeteria. It's kind of, I guess you could say yes, kind of like cafeteria, but you only have 5 minutes to eat. Oh, that's the other thing. When you get your food, you literally sit down. You have 5 minutes to eat. That's why I eat really fast.
They're timing you.
Yeah, well, 5 minutes, and you got to get up. They got to get the next people in. So if you don't finish your food, they come and throw it away.
How big of a groups are people eating in?
I was eating a group of 20. You come in, you eat, and you get. That's why. And then also people cover their food. I used to eat like that for a while. You
got to put your arm around your food.
So they wouldn't mess with your food. So they know that you're going to get them. They try to take your food. So you're sitting there eating. And so one time, the first time I got there, I didn't eat within 5 minutes. I didn't know. I'm just taking my time eating, enjoying my food, and all of a sudden they come and go, get up. They took them and they just threw it away. I'm like, hey, it's my food. And they're like, you had 5 minutes. You didn't do it. Too bad.
That's too bad, because I got to believe that prison is pretty boring.
No, well, there's stuff to do in there more than people realize.
Is there?
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, and you don't even have spend time enjoying your food.
But you have a job. You work. That's anything's better than being stuck somewhere. Full time.
Just sitting.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're in isolation, when you were in that 23, was there a job? You were just.
You're just stuck in there. Nothing you can do.
How did you pass the time?
Well, I read a lot.
In county?
Yeah, and because I was sober, at the time, I wasn't sober when I was in county, until I went back the second time. Then I was sober for 6 months. But the first times in there, basically I was detoxing the entire time, so. But when I went...
sleeping a lot.
When I went the last time, I was just, studying a lot, studying the, word, reading the Bible. Read the Bible a few times, when I was in there.
How would you get books? Was there like a library?
Yeah, they had books. The guy would bring books if he wanted a book. Or somebody could send you a book and they just check it, make sure there's no drugs, nothing in it. But yeah, so, that's the interesting part about it is it's just learning how to survive. But like I said, you have to get into your mindset that you're never leaving. So because for 6 months, I was like, I'm leaving. And that's not a good feeling.
When you say 6 months... And I'm like that mindset. Are you talking about when you were in county?
When I was in county for 6 months.
How much time?
I was in there 9 months because my trial took 9 months before they can have it. Do my trial.
Oh, okay.
And then when I went to Chino, it was supposed to be a 90-day observation, but I ended up in there for like 6 or 7 months because they couldn't get time on the board to get me back to court. But the judge, it was a good thing the judge did that. But here's another reason how God just was always in my life and always there for me. So inside, the prosecutors are always asking prison, right? That's what they always want. And they usually go by what the psychiatrist says. And I go see the psychiatrist, and he goes, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I go, "No." He goes, "When you were about 15, he goes, you were at the mall." He said, Northridge Mall. He goes, "And you met my son. You signed an autograph with him. You talked with him." He goes, "And I saw you for who you really were. You're a good person. You don't belong in here." He goes, "I'm not going to write anything that's going to have you keep here. I want you to go home and enjoy your life and stay out of trouble." And so that's how, look at that. I meet a kid because I'm nice to people. I didn't know that was going to take place. And the father was there. I met the father, and I took pictures, talked with him, and told the kid, about staying out of trouble, and, that's when I wasn't in trouble, So that worked out in my advantage.
So he'd seen you. He'd seen
how
you
who
were.
I was, yeah. And I
Yeah.
also truly believe that we are a victim of our circumstances. It was the fact that I got molested. It's the fact that I had police constantly harass me. My father was an alcoholic. That puts you in situations to where you don't care about your life anymore, and you put yourself in dangerous situations, or bad situations, because you're not thinking about it.
You came there and you got schooled by all these criminals. You're like, dude, I don't want to be a criminal.
Yeah, well, everybody else that was in there, they were like, when I get out of here, I'm going to pull this lick. That means a job somewhere. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I was like, when I get out of here, man, I'm staying out of trouble. I said, I'm going to buy me a case of Act Right. That's what you tell people, buy a case of Act Right, which means that anytime you think about doing something stupid, you drink a soda that says Act Right, and you'll be okay. You're going to act right.
Yeah.
So what other questions did you have, too?
Okay, so there's that TV show 90 Days In.
Yeah.
Is that seem pretty?
That's very
have you watched
accurate
it?
to what it is, yeah. I watched 90 Days. It's very accurate. It's like some of those prison shows I don't even like to watch because it just makes me nervous. It's like I don't like to be confined. You notice that? I don't like to be confined.
Yeah.
If I'm confined, I feel like I'm trapped. And in jail, you're confined.
I definitely think there's things that are just going to stick with you. Okay, so here's one. Are there unspoken rules or codes of conduct you had to figure out fast?
Oh, yeah. Okay, like when I was going to the bathroom, there is 8 toilets on one side, 8 toilets on the side in front of you, and then like that. So a total of like probably 36 toilets, all different places, but all in front. Drop one, flush one, which means that if it stinks, you can get shanked behind that. And I didn't know, so I'm in there going to the bathroom, my own business, and dude says, "Drop one, flush one, or you're going to get shanked." I was like, who's talking to?
Are you in stalls?
No, there's no stalls. There's no closets.
It's just out in the open.
Toilets lined up.
Oh, gosh.
8 toilets on one side, 8 toilets on the other side, 8 toilets in front of you, 8 toilets behind you.
Oh, gosh.
So,
okay.
And you drop one, you got to flush it right away. So it's drop it, flush. Drop it, flush.
You don't want to do anything to draw attention to you.
No,
like
but I didn't.
smell.
But I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't know. I didn't know. I was just doing there, and I was like, "Drop one, you better flush with, fool. I'm gonna shank you." I was like, "Okay, flush." After that, because I didn't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, but that's what happens. But also, the rules are you respect everyone, and you don't talk about other people's cases. You don't do that either.
If they bring it up, then you can talk.
You don't talk about your case either because chances he could be a snitch. You don't know that. He could be working with, your prosecutor.
Well, how do you have these opinions?
You don't talk about anything.
About like the Night Stalker. Did you guys talk about stuff?
But that's in county.
Oh.
Yes, but we never talked about our cases.
Okay.
We just talked about stuff. That's why I lock all the doors, was because Richard Ramirez told me, the Night Stalker, I asked him, when you broke in, how'd you break into the houses? And he goes, I didn't break in. I walked through an open door or open window. And I was like, okay, now that I know that, I'm going to lock everything all the time. That's why I lock everything. That's why I'm super serious on security, because it's people that don't pay attention that get caught in stupid situations.
All right, be honest. What is the shower situation really like? Because that's something you...
No, it's nothing. You just go take a shower. The only time somebody's going to do something like that to you is if they can punk you. But if you defend yourself, no one's going to do something like that to you because they know
you don't got to be like, don't worry, don't drop the soap or anything like that.
No, but you ain't going to bend it over in front of nobody either. You ain't doing that. That ain't the smart thing to do.
So is it just like a locker room situation with like a pole with all the...
No, yeah, it's like a giant, shower everywhere. But, you take your shower and you get out of there. But the thing about it is they have to know you're not going to tolerate something like that. Like if someone had done it to me, I'd have stabbed him. He would have got stabbed. I'd have just been in prison for the rest of my life.
Did you have a what do
yeah,
they
of
call
course.
it?
You always
shiv? What do they call
shank. Yeah,
shank. Did
of course
you
I
have one?
Yeah.
How'd you make yours? What it was
I
made
made mine out of metal. Same thing, because I got all the good supplies.
So okay, How did you make the metal sharp? What would you do?
Well, the metal, you sharpen it on the ground, on the cement. You sharpen when the guards aren't looking, and you sharpen it. Keep sharpening until it gets sharp.
One of the things you do with your time.
Well, yeah, but you do things you're gonna have to defend yourself because if something happens.
Would you sell shanks or would you sell the pieces?
I sell the pieces, and they had to make their own shanks.
Yeah.
I sold pins that worked. And paper that worked, and pencils.
Would you guys talk about like the better way to get like a nice sharp edge?
No, you never talked about that. That was all done.
You just figure it out yourself.
Because the biggest, like I told you, the biggest thing you were concerned with is like somebody working with the guards or working with your prosecutor, giving information on you. Because they'll lie and say, he told me he did everything. That's it happens a lot in there. So
you just keep yourself.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you don't want to be labeled as a snitch. Because you get labeled as a snitch, they will kill you in there.
Yeah.
They will, that or a child molester, either one. So.
Okay, so that was another one of the questions that I think we already touched was what happens if there's a fight? Do people actually settle things that way?
Yeah. It's settled by fighting. You settle it.
And then the guards stand on the wall and shoot, evidently.
Yeah, that's for that situation. But in county, though, they just break up the fight.
Okay.
But then if it's a dangerous situation where the guy's going to kill the other guy was going to stab the other guy in the neck, I think that's why he got shot. He's going to kill him, and they didn't want that to happen, so they shot the guy and put him down so that they can go get him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they also had a line when you're on the yard that says, do not pass this line. There is no warning shot, it said.
Wow.
So you pass that line, they just shoot you. There's no warning shot.
If you're trying to escape kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
no, it's nothing to do with escaping, just getting across that line. They don't care what you were doing.
What line? What was it over?
Okay, like there's the fence.
Okay.
And then 10 feet back, there's a line that says, if you.
So you weren't even allowed near the fence.
No, and it's
so if you cross. Okay, the line was on this side of the fence, and it's like you don't go past that.
You go past that.
Because you even touched.
They said warning. There is no warning shot, which means that you pass that, they're going to shoot you. So
yeah. So that's how they don't even worry about climbing the fence because you're not even going to get near it.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so. What do you think was the toughest part about being in prison?
Isolation is the toughest part about being in prison. But because you can't trust anybody in there, you're basically isolated. You have to keep to yourself. You have to keep your mind busy enough to where you don't go completely crazy. Like when I was in there, I had made up I was a good voice actor, and I had made up 20 different voices that I could do. I practiced, and all the time, So I just had to. I had to keep myself very well amused because, otherwise you get bored and discontent and, and that's when stuff falls in. So
maybe it's lucky you're as creative as you were. Keep yourself busy with the voices.
I had to keep myself busy with the voices and different things to do. So.
What's one thing about prison life that totally surprised you?
Well, I think in prison life, in most places, I can't say every place, there is no real reform. And I think that's what they need is reform.
Oh, that it was like you were saying, it's like a school to go learn how to be more of a criminal instead
of reform. Teaching people how to be better people, teach people how to be, get rid of the problems they have emotionally. I think it should be much more of that.
You were expecting more of that.
Yeah, there should have been more of that, but there's not.
Interesting. Did you pick up any new skills or hobbies in there?
Well, yeah, you learn how to get a kite, which is a note, from cell 1 all the way down to cell 58.
You're a real clever guy. I bet you didn't you tell me one time you were doing something, you were cooking up something?
Oh, so yeah, what used to happen was, when I was in county, here's how God also was with me. When I was in county, it just so happens that somebody my mom grew up with was the head kitchen lady. Wow. So she would send me food through this, the guy on that, what is it called, the guy? I can't think of the guy right now. He's a guy who's out and does sweeping and stuff like that. Yeah.
The janitor.
No, not janitor. No, it's not that. It's something else. He's actually a prisoner, but he's actually allowed to do this. I can't think of the name of it right now. But she would send food through him to give to me, like my plate, and I would get what the guards ate, which was like steak, ribs, and that kind of stuff. But that didn't happen till like 6 months later, when I figured she figured out I was in there. She didn't want me eating the food in there either. So the guards ate really, really well. They ate really, really well. So now I've learned how to make a cooking thing from a toilet paper. You roll it up on your hand to get really tight, and then you turn it over, and it literally will burn for 20 minutes.
So you could like light it on fire. How did you light it?
Well, in there, that's the time you could smoke in there.
Oh, okay. So there were matches.
There were matches and stuff like that, or a lighter. So we had metal chairs. So you clean your metal chair really good, right? Clean your metal chair really good, and then you have a cover on your metal chair. So you can sit on it, but when you need to cook on it, you put it underneath and you cover your vent up so the smell doesn't go out, and you make sure that you have somebody watching for the guards. So you always had to share your food with somebody so they can keep an eye on, make sure the guard's coming. You got to put it out and throw it in the toilet, So, but, I used to reheat the food up and cook some other stuff in there and just, it's always so good.
So it was like, this was the food that was getting sent over to you and you were wanting to like warm the steak back up.
Yeah. Different chicken or steak, whatever it was, warm it back up. So ribs, they used to get ribs. And I couldn't believe how well the guards ate. I could not believe that,
That's amazing.
In County. But now in Chino, you could do that, but you really didn't need to because the food was decent enough.
It was good.
Yeah.
What about, wasn't there some sort of drink that you learned to make?
Well, you learned to make pruno. You learned to make alcohol in there. Yeah, that's.
Wait, what's it called again?
Pruno. Yeah, it's called pruno, and you don't want to know where it's made at, where it has to sit.
I want to know.
Okay, in county jail, that's when I was still, acting, drinking and stuff like that. You would put it in. You put it.
Okay, so what is it made out of?
It's made out of vegetables, fruits.
Okay.
Fruit. You put sugar in it, whatever, and you.
So you'd bring stuff back from like the cafeteria in your pockets or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in jail, it was really tough to. In prison, it was tough to do. Because I was just trying to bring an orange back one time in there, just to have an orange for myself to eat later. And I was walking back with it, and he goes, "Come here, Bridges, come here." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Smash!" He smashed in my pants. I was like, "Oh!" He's like, I go, "Throw it away." I'm like, "Oh!" But he smashed it, ruined my pants. You know what I mean?
Oh, and your orange. Okay, so in county though, you were able to make this
you were able to do that. Yeah, make pruno. Yeah,
pruno.
You put the sugar and all that in, and you take it and you let it sit for a couple of weeks, and it creates alcohol.
Okay, so where was it sitting?
In the toilet.
So what did you use while your toilet was busy doing this?
A plastic bag. Well, you take it out, go to the bathroom, clean it back up, and you drop it back in. It's in a plastic bag and drop it back in to stay cold.
So you had to collect a plastic bag, a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables, some sugar.
Not fruits and vegetables, just fruits.
Just fruits, okay. Some sugar.
Yeah. And that made pruno, made alcohol.
So how long would it take you to gather all this stuff for a batch? And where would you hide it?
Well, it's different because they gave you your food inside your room. They gave you food in there, so it was easy to keep in there.
Okay.
So you got your food inside there. So if you had an orange on there, you just don't eat the orange. Or
you save it.
You peel it up and put it on there like you ate it, and you put it in a bag. So it's like you
Where'd
ate
you
it.
keep your bag?
I told you kept your bag in the toilet.
So they didn't look in the toilet?
No, they usually didn't bother you.
Okay.
Yeah, they would come in every now and then. They would search, and when you're in that type of high power, they really don't search your cells.
Where did you get the bag from?
From one of the trustees, is what they call it, trustee, and give you anything you want. That's how when I was in there too. What I remember when I was in county one time. This happened to me when I was in court. I was all chained up. It was early on, and the police officer tripped me on purpose. And I got up and I knocked him back with my shoulder, and he went flying. And then they tried to charge me with a crime there. But it was thank God that Johnny Cochran was sitting there and watched the whole thing, watched what he did. And he goes, "No, then I'm going to file, blah, blah, blah." And they were like, okay, then we'll let it go. So what they did to me when I got back, they were mad at me. They took me and put me way down deep into some cells that were way down below. And they called those disciplinary cells. And that's when they gave you disciplinary food. So what they would do was they'd blend all your food together and bake it. Bake it together.
So technically they were giving you all the nutritional whatever.
But it was just disgusting, nasty. It was all baked together. So I survived on apples. That's why I hate apples to this very day. I like applesauce, but I don't like, or apple pie, but won't eat just a regular apple anymore.
Because that's all you got.
Yeah, that's all I had to survive on apples. I couldn't eat that thing they made.
How long was that?
That was for like a month. So, but how I got out of there, because Johnny Cochran they can lose you in the system. And that's what they did. They had lost me in the system. So how I finally got out was a trustee was down there bringing me my food, and I gave him a kite and told him to call my lawyer and tell him exactly where I am. And when they did that, I was up the very next day.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. I was down there for a month, though, and it's like hardly no lights or anything. You can't see anything down there.
How long did that batch of pruno take to get good?
Well, like a week and a half, yeah.
Would you just drink it, or would you sell it, or?
No, you drink it, or you sold it. Yeah, somebody wanted to drink, you give them some, so.
And you just have to drink it out of the bag?
No, you had cups and stuff. You didn't drink it.
Okay, I mean, I don't know.
You had plastic
I've never
cups.
been there.
You had plastic cups. You should go visit.
And we should go visit.
Not me. I ain't going to visit. You can go visit.
All right, let's see.
You should go hang out in a cell for one night and see what it's like. See if you can deal with it.
So did you
stay connected? That's one of the questions. How did you stay connected with family and friends on the outside? But you said you didn't.
In county jail, you got visits regularly. And I took the beginning, I took the visits. But I didn't realize the damage it was doing to me emotionally. So I got a lot of visits then, you know.
Yeah. Could you write letters though?
Yeah, you can write letters and receive letters and all that kind of stuff. But it was like once I got out, you know, and I had relapsed again, and I finally got sober, and I came back, you know, I realized it was so damaging emotionally having people come visit you and leaving. Because when I was in there, Kim Fields came to see me, Conrad Bain came to see me. My own father never came to see me, but everyone else did.
Wow.
Yeah, he never came to see me in there. Maybe he realized it was his fault, so that's why maybe he didn't want to come see me.
So what is a typical day like? And you can compare prison versus county. Like what would have
County, a typical
like?
day is I was in my cell 23 hours a day. I get out 1 hour on the freeway to take a shower or change the channel.
So the 23 hours you were just
it was brutal. And then when I got to the prison for the 90-day observation, when I was put in that cell, I was like, no, I wanted to see the warden. I said, no, you got to get me out of here. I'm not staying in here. He goes, well, we can't put you in here. I go, yeah, you can. I have a reputation. I'll be fine. In
the county, the 1 hour was the hour when you got to be out there with the TV, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in this place, it wasn't even an hour you were allowed out. You were allowed, you know, a few minutes. 15 minutes to take a shower and then back in your cell.
Oh,
and
so
I was
that
like, I ain't doing that. I was like,
brutal.
no way, yeah. So I got put into a dorm situation where you were in there with like 100 inmates.
So when you're in like the dorm thing, do you still have your own space where you're locked away from somebody else, or you're just
there's beds everywhere, and you have a bunkie up top of you.
Kind of like we see in the movies for like a boot camp situation where there's just a bunch of bunk beds.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did fights break?
Fights would break out, but you had to have someone watching your back. Like I said, because of what that guy had said, people knew not to. He was a lifer, by the way.
The one that said he was your brother.
Yeah, he was a lifer, so he was never getting out. So, you know.
Did you say your brother, your cousin, or
my brother? His last name is Bridges, so he said he was my brother. So I was like, Mom, missed you, you know. But that was God. God protected me in every single situation. He protected me with the psychiatrist's letter they gave me. And then I'll tell you what was interesting before I go ahead. Ask another question. I can tell you before I got out what happened to me before I got out.
Okay. I just going to say, you know, is it as boring as it seems, or are there surprises that...
No, prison is not boring. It's crazy. It's tough to watch.
It's just like an alternate
You have to watch
reality.
constantly. Never let anybody get too messed behind you. You know, you got to watch that. You got to make sure you're watching everyone. You have to have a swivel head, constantly watching people, because you don't know what people are going to do. And like I said, if a fight broke out between two different races, you're going to have to take sides, which means you have to fall with your race. Because if you don't fall with your race, then they'll give you up to another race, and you don't want that to happen. So you fall with your race.
That is so interesting that... So if you had been in the isolation, it was boring. It was almost unbearable.
Yeah.
But if by contrast, when you're out in like the general population type stuff, it's like, no, there's no time to be boring. You're so busy protecting yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Constantly.
Oh, yeah. But that's why I told you I'm so much on respect, because that's what that whole thing is involved with. It's just respect.
What do you think is a big misconception people have about prison? Or people that have been there?
Well, it is punishment, but what you're doing is you're making the criminal, to me, more angry. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
You're locking him up, and you're making, when he gets out, most of them are like, I'm going to go back, I'm going to get these people.
So you're kind of going back to what you said, that you wish there was more rehabilitation, because it was really about honing their skills. Now they're better at observing. They've picked up a lot of...
They pick up stuff, but then the question is always going to be, is it really teaching you how to be a better criminal? Because the people in there are also arrested.
That's true.
So that's the question.
Good point, right? How do you think your time in prison changed your perspective on life? We talked about the respect thing that you've carried with you, but what else?
It made me to where I know I don't ever want to go back, and I always avoid those situations. But
what did you think it was going to be like? Is it like how you thought it would be?
Oh, yeah. Probably worse than what I thought it was going to be. But it's like it's a dangerous place. It's like, to me, it's like being out at midnight and you're, on the streets walking around.
But all the time.
24/7. You don't ever have a time to relax. Even when you're sleeping, you're all kind of sleeping. You're kind of keeping your eyes open.
Especially in that dorm situation where you're not really locked away.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And you're constantly watching people, seeing what people are doing, seeing what people are done. That's why you usually fall with people that you can defend each other, so that, if you're not sleeping, someone's going to watch your back for you.
And you were supposed to be there for 3 months, but you said you ended up actually being there like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, because they couldn't get me out in time. But
Which I remember when you first told me that, I thought that was surprising because I would have thought it'd be like clockwork, like down to the minute of like, okay, I came in.
There's so many people.
Exactly.
There's so many people in there that, there's only enough time in courts. They don't have, millions of courts. There's only very few courts. The courts.
But do the courts really have to, like, if your sentence was for 3 months, did the courts really get involved with the release time?
It was 3 months, but still getting released it's a process, a long and timely
It's like,
process.
well, why didn't they start the process in time to get you out at 3 month mark?
That's not how it works.
See, and that's shocking to me because I would be like, come on, guys, let's get the program
It doesn't work like that. But I knew when I was getting out, and I knew the day because my lawyer contacted me and told me, Johnny Cochran contacted me and told me I was getting out. Like, when I was getting out the next day, he contacted me and said, you're getting out tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So this is what happened to me. I was getting out the next day, and I knew I was. Now, the guards, if they get pissed at you or don't like you, they can write you what they call a 115. The ordinary person can't, if they get a 115, they'll end up stuck in there until they go through the disciplinary thing, whatever has to happen. You may get like 90 more days or whatever.
So it's like kind of like a pink, like writing to the principal. It's a bad.
So I was walking across the grass, which in the morning for my job, I didn't see any sign that says don't walk on the grass. And then this police officer comes up to me and goes, get off the effing grass, you stupid, and call me the N-word. I'm like, shut up, you bitch. And she was like, that's it, blah, blah, blah.
Was she white?
No.
She was black, but
I think she was Hispanic, I think.
Oh, okay.
But so she grabbed me, they handcuffed me, and then they were like, oh, we're going to get you, blah, blah, blah. We're going to write you up for 115. You're not getting out of here. You don't talk to blah, blah, blah. And then all the officers were against me that liked me in there. They were against me then. And I remember, this is how cocky I was back then. I knew I was getting out, and I knew they couldn't stop it. And I was on my way to the bus, and I turned around, all of them, and they were giving me the dirty eye, like, you'll be back. And I'm like, mm-mm. I say, you know what a hassa is? I said, it's a pig that don't fly straight. I said, but I never turned you. I did a Tony Montana line and got on the bus, and they were like pissed at me. And they were like, you'll be back. But I ain't never been back. That's been over 30-something years. 32 years I ain't been back.
Wait, what did you say? There's some reference in there.
I said, you know what a hassa is, Frank?
A hoss?
Hassa.
A hassa.
It's in the movie Scarface.
Oh.
You know what a hassa is, Frank? And that's what Tony Montana says to Frank. You know what a hassa is, Frank? He goes, it's a pig that don't fly straight. I never turned you, Frank. That's what he said. So I said that to them. And they were pissed. They were giving me the evil eye. And the girls in there, and I was like, bye.
So did the 115 not come to fruition because some of the other guards?
The 115 wasn't going to be able to stop me.
Yeah.
I wasn't there serving a real sentence.
Okay.
So it wasn't going to stop me.
So it didn't matter.
No. I knew I was
Do you
out.
think that she was coming at you on purpose to try to get you to stay longer, or she was just being
mean, being mean, being mean and nasty? Because there was no sign that said don't walk across the grass. I didn't see no sign that said that.
So, what was the first thing you did when you got out? Do you remember?
I had a steak.
A real steak from where?
Where did I go to? I don't know. I went to some steakhouse. I just remember my mom took me to some steakhouse.
Nice.
So
had a big.
But I went back to sober living. I went back to sober living.
Where was that sober living house?
It was at Brotman Medical Center. They had houses right next to the hospital, and that's where.
What part of LA is that in?
Culver City.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the place. Culver City was the place where. Remember, I told you when we got there to go. Oh, we don't have any houses for you anymore. When we had the afros, there's that place. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you handle that? I imagine there was a lot of stigma, a lot of flack for you as you were coming back into life?
No, it really wasn't. But it's just a huge adjustment again.
So maybe the sober living was kind of the right approach, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it was where I had to go to because I was determined to stay sober. I was determined. So I know that this was the only way to go about it. My sponsor had told me in the very beginning that I needed to go to sober living, and I did it. I did what he told me to do. It was time that I started listening to people and doing what I needed to do. And I went, and I was like, that's it. I'm going here. I went back, and it was great. Of course, I sought out some chicks, of course, being locked away for a free time, I was lonely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Was it hard to find a job or work or anything?
No, I ended up getting a job at a treatment center. I ended up becoming a chemical dependency tech. And I had a job, and I started working for sober living. And
And you technically didn't have a conviction on
No,
your
I
record.
had
So
no
that
conviction, yeah.
helped, because I think
Yeah.
that is a problem for a lot of
Yeah.
people coming out of prison,
Yeah.
right?
I don't have any felony convictions on my record, nothing like that. So everything else has dropped off by now. So because they're all misdemeanors fall off after a certain amount of years. So
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think you did pretty good, babe. That was was that intense? Did it feel
well,
intense?
it's not intense. It's just that you know where you don't want to go.
Yeah.
And I tell people to this very day, don't commit no crimes with me because I will be pointing you out. That's him. I saw him. You know, I'm not going to jail for anybody. I'm not going. If I'm going to go to jail, it'd be because I did it to you. But I'm not going to jail for anybody else. That's
yeah,
just
you don't want to
crazy.
go back.
No, it's not a place you want to go to. It's not a place you want to visit or even hang out, you know. And that's, you know, and the sad part about it is, like I said, if it was more reform in these prisons, the problem in our country are criminals reoffend over and over again. And it seems to me that first-time offenders get the more harsher sentence than reoffenders. I don't know why that is. I can't figure that out, so.
Well, if we did not cover a question that you have, a burning question about what it's like in prison, please write in. You can go to dangpodcast.com.
That's right.
Share questions.
Yes.
And if we get enough of them, maybe we'll do a follow-up. But all right.
Thank you for being a dang. Please subscribe. Check us out. We're having a lot of fun here. We're doing a great podcast that everyone will enjoy.
And share this episode
Yes.
with anyone you would
Yes.
also like to have stay out of prison.
Yes, stay out of prison and county jail and don't get in trouble. Trust
All
me.
right. Dang.
All right. Dang. Dang is produced by my wife, Betty Jo Bridges, in collaboration with Star Worldwide Network Studios, and edited by our daughter, Adelie Ann.
She's also the musician responsible for our theme music, so go check out Adelie Ann wherever you stream your music. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Send us your suggestions at dangpodcast.com.
Do me a favor. Please subscribe and rate our podcast to make it easier for others to find. Have a great week.
Yeah,